So I just got home from seeing Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. I have some thoughts and wanted to work through them. If you're going to write off my opinions as those of an out-of-touch contrarian, you may as well stop watching now. I haven't read any reviews of the film beyond seeing people cite Rotten Tomatoes scores as being good, so these are my opinions. This is not an attempt to make a hot take or to go against the mainstream. I just want to work through what worked and what ultimately didn't work for me. First off, I loved the first Guardians movie, but felt Guardians of the Galaxy 2 took all the gimmicks from the first film and removed the heart in favor of more memeable moments. This distaste continued through Infinity War and Endgame. Over these films, I felt characters became caricatures of themselves and that they were generally unlikable. At this point, I asked myself, do I just not like the Guardians of the Galaxy? But I still tried the holiday special and really enjoyed it. I think the shorter format and holiday context did a lot to make the simpler version of these characters work. Also relevant, I hated James Gunn's The Suicide Squad film. I felt it was a mess, the characters were terrible people, and the film treated human life as worthless, such that it had no stakes. So, Guardians 3 had the deck stacked against it, but I promised that I did everything I could to go in with an open mind. What did I like about the film? Rocket's backstory was powerful and made me care about the character more than I expected. This really cannot be overstated because Rocket is not a character that I particularly like, but I teared up when he came back to life, even as I was hoping certain other Guardians' deaths would stick. Peter and past Gamora's dynamic was interesting, and I'm very happy they didn't end up together at the end of the film. Unfortunately, two of the best scenes featuring them, as well as Nebula, were edited together for the trailer that I saw 5,000 times, so the jokes didn't really land. For that matter, the scenes didn't really make sense in their context in the film. Counter-Earth was pretty fun, and I'm always happy when movies aren't afraid to embrace comic book weirdness, like having a world full of humanoid beings with animal heads. I'm not sure how I feel about the High Evolutionary wiping them out. I know he's a bad guy, but James Gunn seems to have a writing style where collateral damage just doesn't matter, and this felt like it edged a little too close to that. Nathan Fillion's cameo was fun, and that whole scene with the Guardians talking their way onto the bio space station thing definitely hit on all four cylinders. Also loved a number of scenes with Mantis. I thought she was portrayed really well in the film, and there were definitely some good fight and action scenes. There was no point in the movie though where I could just relax and enjoy the film. Star-Lord and Drax were both insufferable. Nebula to a lesser degree. I was excited for Adam Warlock, and then he turned into just another James Gunn dumb character like Peacemaker or Drax. I was glad to see a fully grown Groot, but hated the way that he was able to hide all the weapons in his torso in spite of going through a scanner 5 minutes earlier, and some other choices with that character I didn't sit well with me. And the film it felt so cynical at times. Peter tells his hostage he believes people are good, and if he can explain to them that he needs to the file or his best friend will die, he knows they'll do the right thing, and then immediately he says, "I'm not that stupid," and does something else. Another time the High Evolutionary is explaining his ideas and Peter just stops him and calls him stupid. I mean, the High Evolutionary is a silly villain, but if you're going to use a silly over-the-top comic book villain like that, you kind of have to be willing to trust the material. Undercutting the material like that is an insult to the audience that decided to pay to see a movie featuring that stupid villain. I mean, maybe you could have done better if it was actually funny, but that's the other thing, is that none of the humor landed here. And then there's the animal cruelty. From the graphic experiments on Rocket to Floor, Rocket's friend who is a dead bunny with robot legs, the film just takes things too far on animal cruelty. After the violent death of Rocket's furry companions, I had to step out of the theater. I'm assuming anyone who has gotten deep into this review isn't basing their decision whether or not to see the film on this review. But if you're sensitive to animal cruelty, this is definitely, you need to skip this film. It's just, it's very graphic. And finally, the film doesn't even learn its own lesson to value all forms of life. In the mid-credits scene, Rocket and the new line of the Guardians charge in, guns a-blazing, on a stampede of wild animals. Rocket makes a comment about protecting the villagers, but they're not like trying to redirect the stampede or do anything clever. It's literally a close-up on Rocket's giant gun is the final shot. So that's my thoughts. Obviously, a few people don't agree with me because the critics and the audiences all love this film. That's fine if you enjoy it. I think my feelings towards the characters and sensitivity to animal cruelty make it impossible for me to be objective on this film. Anyway, that's what I got. See you next time.